Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this, your Aries May 2024 reading and forecast. Hi, I'm Nigel St. James Clairvoyant. Well, this month we have an interesting deck that I don't think we've seen for a long time. It's called the Thoth deck. Now, do you know what? The real hero or heroine of this deck is that Lady Frida Harris who produced the art. I suspect that Crowley himself had very little input into the artistic representation of the cards that we have here. We're going to produce here 5 cards. Now, by the way, I've done a lot of one-on-one clairvoyant readings for people for different parts of the world over FaceTime and Skype. You might be interested in that. Check out the description at the end of the video. I charge for those, and the details are there. What I don't charge for, and which I've also done a lot of over the course of the last month, are healings for people from all over the world. They take about half an hour, I guess, and they're free. The spiritual gift of healing, as well as clairvoyance, but the spiritual gift of healing was given to me on the basis that I get nothing in return for it. So I'm very happy to do it for you. Just reach out to me, don't be shy, and you will be so glad that you did. And as I say, there's no obligation. I won't sell anything to you. So let's get 5 cards underway, shall we, and see what there is for you in this famous deck. Debauch. Now, incidentally, I think Crowley did have an input into the often very stupid titles on the Minor Arcana, and that's one of them there. Nevertheless, that's the 7 of, it'll be cups, I guess. There's the Ace of Wands. Here is the Knight of Wands. There is the 7 of Wands. Wow, 3 wands in a diagonal. That's very auspicious for you. And finally, this one here, which is the Wheel of Fortune. So, as is our practice, I'll bring the camera around. You and I can have a good close look at the imagery on these cards together and let them speak while I do the reading for you. What a very dynamic spread of energy that's here. Now, I will mention that the real hero of this deck, as I say, is the artist and not Aleister Crowley. And so, in honor of her, I've surrounded this with some cards I very often use in readings for female people, and they're very active and predictive, and their energy is also helpful for this. Now, great degree of forward motion. There's a moment here of downheartedness, but it's overcome by this magnificent energy here. And this is speaking to me of a really bright future that's going forward for you. Let me look first at this Ace of Wands. Now, firstly, I must say that the energy is coming up around here. I think that Leo is going to be important too. I think Virgo could be, and so is Cancer. I'm just getting that idea around it here. This is the Lord of the root of the power of fire, and it's speaking to you that there is, notwithstanding this thing here, and it does overcome it, there's a high and strong energy, a transformation here, a new start, teamed with this Wheel of Fortune here. May well be a passionate union, but the point is that your life forces are going to be surging. Ah, fire, your element. This ace is represented by a huge flaming torch, which is the symbol of the element of fire, which rules the wands suit. I think that this is the second highest energy card in the deck, actually, the sun being the highest. And this card shows the energies which are going to arise after all blocks have been removed from you. Now, the bolts of light go out in all directions here, don't they? And that represents the power bursting out of these flames. All the securities and certainties you have been clinging to, I think they're going to be shaken. And the unhelpful ones are going to be destroyed by the impact of the energies now breaking through. Of course, if all obstacles are out of the way, renewal in all areas and levels of your life is going to take place. And I think that this revitalizing power is going to fill your entire being with new light, Now, it is important for the free-flowing energies to have a creative outlet. You can use the energy only if you have a goal towards which you can direct it. The next step, after releasing the blocks, is to find the right framework in which to set this energy. You are now full of power and energy, so engage fully in discovering where and how that you can and want to use it. Now you might ask yourself, what attracts you to doing it the most? What gives you the most pleasure, and in what framework and what environment can you realize your dreams? But say this to yourself now. It's important for you because it's your mantra for this month. I express my energy and power openly. Now I'm going to turn next to that rather interesting and sort of at odds energy here. So this is probably something for you to think about because there's so much forward motion. This card's called the Borch. One of the reasons why I think it's a dumb idea for developers to put titles on decks. It's probably Crowley's major contribution to it was to come up with something stupid like that. Well, this is Venus in Scorpio here in the third decan, the 13th to the 22nd of November, as I would see it. And you might, for a moment there, have this in your mind that there was something that was just a moment ago which might have been a source of lust and enjoyment has now lost its attractiveness. Now the blossoms that you can see there, of course you're free to take from these paintings whatever you want. This is just what I see. But I see the blossoms' heads drooping and their flavor having become stale. The emotions are out of balance again. There's an indication that some disappointment, a deep disappointment, has probably not been resolved. You may well have tried to cover over the old wounds, but this tactic of diverting your attention away from it, I don't think it has helped. Now, after every, well, if I use the word debauch, but after every binge, I'd say, after every attempt at escape, this face of your old problem rises all too clearly before your eyes and colors your experience of the situation, which you think is gloomier and gloomier. Now, Venus in Scorpio, well, Venus is the planet of love. It's also about the planet of attracting things to you and attracting to you the things that you want to have. It's also good for money. Scorpio is about intensity and in-depth transformation, and sort of also about exploration of the self and other people. Now, with the number 7 here, I have a mystical association with the planet of Venus as well. So Venus shows up twice, both in the numerology and again in the astrology. And the astrological problem is that Venus is in detriment in Scorpio, and so it can't express its sensitivity and emotions properly. Instead, they can get channeled into negative behavior, addictions, or intensity, which can sometimes be the darker side of Scorpio, let's face it. Maybe something has affected you deeply and changed you in a way which is throwing up its own set of problems. Now, I will say this though, that mystically, the number 7 for me in the creation process also refers to victory. So you do overcome these things. I think it's time for you to open your eyes and take a look at perhaps a painful reality, because only by perceiving, that is by understanding, by recognizing your own inner reality, your own feelings, are you going to be freed. and every further attempt to avoid it increases the stagnation of that emotional energy. I'm also getting the sense of, and I'm looking at the colors here in this card, have a look at it itself, is that there could also be like a feeling of disgust, which you have. A disgust in relation to what somebody may well have done or said. Well, look, that's all in the past. Because is there some disappointment you have not yet worked out and buried? Have you experienced something that was maybe just a little bit too good? Have you overextended yourself or overdone things in any way? This is a shadow aspect to you, I think. But say this, as I recognize and accept my shadows, they lose their power over me. But I'm pretty sure, in fact I'm certain that you do overcome them, and I'll tell you why. Because there's a few cards coming up which show me that that is the case for you. Let's have a look at this thing here. And what is this? Mars in Leo. It'll be the third decan of Leo. And again, it's within this Venus-ruled number that's here. Well, Mars in Leo. Mars, that male, warlike power, combined with the daring of the lion in Leo, produces incredible force and impact. The fight is going to be carried out beautifully by you. Now that violet color that's in the background to me has become darker, and it's the color of the warrior who strikes without wavering and who is satisfied only with a decisive victory. 7, as I say, refers to a victory. Now these 6 wands in the background, you see this big one up the front there, I'm pretty sure, these are all symbols for energy. And they serve the powerful staff or rod or wand that's in the center there. Their energies are united and they're directed towards the goal. This card here, this energy expresses a real intensification of power within you. There's a courage here. And that's a courage that's as a result of personal experiences to date, things that you have overcome before and know have not defeated you. Know that you have it within you. You have what it takes. Because it has arisen through your ability to learn from past experience. And if you apply these lessons, you'll be able to take further risks with greater awareness. There's a lot of courage here. Daring, impact, taking risks. No compromises and pushing through obstacles. Now, Mars in Leo, for me, that usually indicates someone with authority and power. But here, I think you need to dig deep and use all of your resources. Clear out all the dead wood that's inside of you. Accept those shadows that are inside of you. Reintegrate them into yourself. And love yourself for who you are. I really do get the sense that compromises are out of the question now for you, because they would now require a denial of your own inner reality. It is time for you to stand your ground and to remain true to your energies without conditions. Now, being true to yourself includes standing up for your own truth even in the face of immense resistance. Trust your power. In this present situation, you must assert yourself at all costs. Now, are you ready to accept all the consequences of them? Survey the territory, see causes and effects, and become aware of whatever fears have prevented you until now from asserting yourself. And say this to yourself. I express my own reality openly and honestly. Now let's have a look to see what this really graphic central energy is here. Not a lot of fire around here. Of course, being in wands. Do you know what? I think that Sagittarius and Scorpio could well be important to you during this period here. I really do. This is the, what I would call the Lord of flame and lightning. This is the fiery aspect of fire. Dynamic forward motion, increased insight, maybe some coming changes coming your way. You are going to be energetic and ambitious, adventurous, determined, but very charming. And you're going to have a magnetism that is very hard to resist. People are going to find you very sexually attractive, so do with that what you will. I'm sure you've had that situation occur before. Now this, for me, and again I say that you can interpret this however you might like by way of the painting, but this Knight of Wands here symbolizes the mastery of growth and inner development. Now in his left hand is the burning torch. This is the same one that you had here. There are no coincidences, are there? And he, as you, he burns away all negativity which stands in his way. I think he has taken on the task of removing all obstacles and blocks on the path towards his growth, his coming into his own. Now this flowing cape that you can see here, enormous, it's made of flame. And his helmet, well, it looks like it's got a unicorn's head on it. And of course the horn of the unicorn symbolizes the third eye. His own vision has become a vehicle, horse if you like, for decisively dealing with the outer world. Now, as a reptile grows, you would know that from time to time what it does is it's got to crawl out of the old skin which has become too tight. This armor here is made out of reptile skin, and that symbolizes dropping all that is old and narrow and leaping forward courageously. Now the energy created by your increased perception, your understanding, is set free, and now it manifests into reality, and it is unstoppable. Even difficult situations are going to move forward in a constructive way. So be awake, be ready for people or situations which could produce dynamic changes in your consciousness, and to be grateful for this gift from existence. Receive it, but don't cling to it. And ask yourself this: does your present situation allow your energies to develop and unfold fully? And if not, what must be removed or changed? I think you should seek out situations and opportunities that challenge you, because now you can engage with them with all of your energy. Find your vitality, trust your gut instinct, let your hair down, give yourself a pep talk, believe you can do it, because now you live the motto of every challenge which arises helps me grow, every storm strengthens my roots. Now that takes us where? Oh, it takes us here, finally, yeah, to this, the Wheel of Fortune. Let me see what's going on with that. A very interesting. That woman was a genius, artistic genius, honestly. Like you're a genius. Now, let's have a look here. Well, this is the Lord of the Forces of Life, and it is ruled by Jupiter, the planet of advancement, of good luck, improvement. This is speaking to me of a new beginning for you, expansion, great degree of creativity with you. I think you'll find a breakthrough going on, self-realization. You may well find that there's some good fortune that comes to you which is completely unexpected, because this is a very lucky period for you. It's a chance opportunity, winning. Obviously there's going to be a few ups and downs, but there could also well be the opportunity of meeting somebody who actually does something that's going to have a substantial and long-term relationship with you, either in work or even a social or romantic sense. But looking at this painting, what do I see here? Now, in the midst of all of this energy that's flying around there, these whirlwinds and the lightning bolts, well, there is the 10 for Major Arcana, number 10, I assume. 10-spoked Wheel of Fortune. This is a symbol of wholeness, in constant motion, yet unchanging in its completeness. Now, there are three figures here, aren't there? There's a crocodile, there's a sphinx, and a primate, an ape of some description. They actually represent three Egyptian gods. Now, without going into the detail of it, the Sphinx unifies the four magic virtues: knowledge, will, daring, and silence. Wisdom for you is arising through the unification of your animal instincts and intuitive mental powers. Now, this sword that this Sphinx is holding up there, I would say that is speaking of the incorruptible powers of sorting through things and your ability to think clearly. Now, this ape that's on that left-hand side of the wheel there symbolizes your flexibility. It kind of looks like he's the one that's keeping the wheel in motion, doesn't it? Well, this crocodile represents the god of creativity. It holds two things in its hands. In the right is the Egyptian Ankh, the symbol of life. Every creating act, bringing something to life, and the staff with the hook on it, well, that's a symbol of the possibility that you have to forge your own luck. And you can recognize and attract opportunities and make use of them now. Now, the center of the wheel, I'll just pull that out a bit now so you can see it in context. The center of the wheel, I think that represents the sun, the origin and unification of all creative energies. It's also a symbol of awareness, of realization, of enlightenment. In the sun is the absolute center of the cyclone, the hurricane, the typhoon, which, despite the constant movement that's at the edge of the wheel, it always remains still and unchanged. And this is the inner seed, the real witness, you, who remains untouched by the ups and downs of duality, joy and sadness, hope and fear. But right now, you are observing the outside of the wheel, and you're looking at it with joy. And there's a breakthrough now which is coming into clearness. The great fortune this moment brings you is just evident. Life is holding out unexpected gifts and possibilities to you now. You need to look for them in order to recognize them and recognize the possibilities that are being offered to you. Actually, I would say this, that if no miracles are happening for you, then something is definitely wrong. You stand before the possibility of a great breakthrough now, so use the moment. And are you really ready for the great fortune? Or what's standing in the way? What does really good fortune mean to you? Write a list down. Use pen and paper. And then make another list of everything that's stopping you from experiencing it. So how do you minimize those things that stop it, and how do you bring things about for you? I think you should say this to yourself, that I am now ready for the miracle of my life, because this is also the case, and have this in mind and say it to yourself. I am a prosperous individual. I am flexible in times of change. I enjoy manifesting internal abundance externally. And abundance, which created me, is what I am. What a great month for you. And didn't you do a good job?
I think you'll agree with me that this deck, when looked at properly the way that we have just done now, has an enormous amount to offer, and the artwork is just genius and brilliant, and that accounts for why it has lasted as long as it has. Anyway, unless I see you privately for a clairvoyant reading or a healing, then I'll see you again next month. And until then, remember one thing, and it is this, that you are a legend, and I look forward to seeing you again next month. And until then, it's bye for now.